meeting is being recorded.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. My name is Val Deziel, and I'll be pleased to speak with you on all the restoration work that we've undergone in the past about 15 years, quite intensely in the Rice Lake Plains. Who we are, the Nature Conservancy of Canada is Canada's leading national land conservation organization. We're a private, not-for-profit organization who partners with individuals, corporations, foundations, Indigenous communities, and nonprofit organizations and governments to protect natural areas. We secure our properties through donation, purchase, conservation agreements, etc., and manage them for the long term. Since 1962, NCC and our partners have helped to protect 15 million hectares across Canada. This is our study area, the Lake Iroquois, Rice Lake Plains, Lake Iroquois Plains. This is a fairly new expanded area. It's now covers 355,000 hectares. And the Nature Conservancy of Canada and our partners together have conserved over 900 hectares of significant habitat in this area. Tallgrass prairie habitats once covered roughly 70,000 hectares in the province of Ontario. Today, less than 3% of this original extent remains. And Rice Lake Plains contains one of the largest unprotected black oak woodland, oak savanna, and tallgrass prairie remnants in the Great Lakes region. Here are some beautiful photos taken by Chelsea Marcantonio. For those that may follow her on Instagram, these are species that were taken at our Hazelburg Nature Reserve. Beautiful wild lupin, a prairie buttercup that has a beautiful contrast of a prescribed burn, swallowtail, and bird's nest. It's a great nature reserve for ground nesting birds, and I hope you guys can plan a trip out to Hazelburg. I would love to see you there. So when we were talking about tallgrass prairie communities, we're in fact talking about 4 different ecosystem types. And a lot of them are determined by percent tree cover. So for example, the sand barren is basically all sand and devoid of trees. Tallgrass prairie has less than 10% tree cover. Oak savanna is between 10 and 25% tree cover, and oak woodland is between 25 to 60% tree cover. Some of the species can be found throughout all 4 habitat types, but some are exclusive to these areas. For example, the sand barren, that's sand drop seed, which is primarily only found in sand barren communities. And as I'm sure you all know, we are in the United Nations Decade of Ecosystem Restoration. And this is truly my passion, restoring ecosystems as best we can to their historical representation. The healthier our ecosystems are, the healthier the planet and its people. And it's the decade of ecosystem restoration aims to prevent, halt, and reverse the degradation of ecosystems on every continent and every ocean. This is a really important part of our work. The stewardship work that we can conduct in the Rice Lake Plains, Lake Iroquois Plain, include native planting, seeding, prescribed burning, thinning of oak woodlands, and removal of non-native woody and herbaceous species. And through the years, the Rice Lake Plains have hosted several hundred conservation volunteers. It's a wonderful experience. We engage people in all ages, in the restoration of tallgrass prairie, providing meaningful hands-on and educational experiences through activities such as planting, seeding, and invasive species removal. Here's just some simple statistics. We should update that since 2018. However, in those 5 years, we've removed 102 hectares of Scotch pine, planted 68,000 plugs, and over 2,000 potted plants, collected 548 kilograms, and dispersed another 259 kilograms, and conducted 155 hectares of prescribed burns. One of the largest undertakings we had was at the Hazelburg Nature Reserve, where we removed Scotch pine. You can see from this aerial imagery, the top one is from 2014 and the bottom one is from 2008. These invasive pine shade out important habitat, grassland habitat, which is so rare, especially for species at risk of grassland birds who are experiencing the steeper decline than most other birds in North America. We continue to move some of the forest area blocks that are dominant with oak to move them from forest to oak woodland. We do this through mechanical harvesting and also thinning with chainsaws and select cut. So you can see the top photo, it was a lovely carpet of poison ivy where now, since the light levels have improved in this area, we have much more diversity of different species, including wild geranium and trilliums and hairy beard tongue even, and wild bergamot. This is an area at Hazelburg Nature Reserve we lovingly call the Wooded Island. These thinning procedures happened in this area where it's now more open and is more suitable for species at risk, including the eastern hognose snake. This is one of the beautiful vistas of Hazelburg Nature Reserve. That top photo in 2000, that one was taken in 2012. I remember because it was my very first year working with the Nature Conservancy, and that was a sea of knapweed and Scotch pine in the distance there, where now it's actually functioning as a tallgrass prairie. It was an incredible transformation that had many hardworking hands, including staff, volunteers, and partners. Another one of our nature reserves is called the Bar property. We opened up that area as well, removing it from forest to, it's almost at oak savanna point at this point now. So you can see in the top photo, there was some New Jersey tea that was struggling under the canopy of the species, of the tree species, and the bottom photo in 2021, that is pretty much dense New Jersey tea in that area. There's some lupin as well, and it's an important host plant for the Mottled Duskywing. One of the species we also struggle with in the area is the invasive spotted knapweed. And it is quite a hard plant to deal with. It's alleliopathic, and it takes many years to be able to reduce its populations and have the native tallgrass prairie create a good recovery in that area. Other species are included, such as milkweed and butterfly milkweed, of course, and heath aster. This is a photo of our Van Hope property, which is next to Red Cloud Cemetery. The top photo is it was formerly a hay field that was dominated with sumac. And since then we have completely restored this small property. It's only 4 hectares into a complete functioning grassland. Even as you spoke of earlier, the American woodcock, even they have been observed on this small property. This is our Schultz Nature Reserve, and it is adjacent to Peters Woods. And this was formerly an agricultural field that was in soybean and corn rotation. We've since then planted it in primarily big blue and little blue. And what the purpose of that is so that we could use these sites for production of seeds, so we can continue on expanding our restoration work throughout the Rice Lake Plains. And our Weber Nature Reserve, this is an extremely large nature reserve. It's nearly 800 acres. This one area was completely a white spruce plantation on top of a hill, with a beautiful vista. You can see right down to Lake Ontario, looking down to the south. The top photo was when the plantation was first removed, and then we had a prescribed burn. We planted it all in Canada wild rye, and along with the native grasses, big blue and little blue and Indian grass, we were able to have a complete recovery from a solid spruce plantation with little to no diversity to a full functioning prairie. And part of our work, this is a fairly new project that we've been working on together with NHIC, is an assessment tool so that we can track our restoration progress through time. And it's a fairly easy system to use that we can use to compare prairie systems across multiple sites, and a standardized condition ranking. This is still in the draft stage. We are soon going to be having it peer reviewed and published so that we can share it with other people that may find it useful to help track their restoration progress through time as well. So it summarizes the surveyed information and awards each area a numerical score with an associated ranking condition from poor to very good. And it's amazing because when we started, most of our sites were either in the very poor or fair condition. But as time goes on and more restoration work takes place, we've moved a lot of our projects into the good status, and even some have escalated to the very good status. Thank you. I'll stop sharing my screen and go to the chat.